The space around the dead star was cold and empty. Nothing had moved here for thousands of years. But today, something changed. Commander Zalthor stood on the bridge of his ship, the Void Seeker. His 6 eyes moved across the control panels. Everything looked normal. His crew worked quietly at their stations. They had been flying through this sector for 3 days now, looking for new worlds to add to the Zenthari Empire. The Zenthari were proud of their empire. They controlled over 200 star systems. They had conquered 47 different alien species. Each time, it had been easy. The aliens they found were always weak, always behind in technology. The Zenthari would scan their ships, learn their secrets, and then take their worlds. Zalthor expected today to be just like any other day, boring patrol duty in empty space. "Commander," called out his sensor officer, Kethvara, "I am picking up something strange." Zalthor turned his large head toward her. "What kind of strange?" "There is a ship out there. It is not moving. It appears to be drifting." "Show me." The main screen flickered to life. In the distance, a dark shape floated against the stars. The ship was long and gray, with strange angles that hurt to look at. It did not look like any Zenthari ship. It did not look like any ship they had seen before. "How big is it?" Zalthor asked. "About half the size of our ship, Commander. Maybe 300 meters long." Zalthor clicked his mandibles together. This was interesting. "Are there any life signs?" Kethvara worked at her controls for a moment. "Yes, Commander. I count about 200 life forms aboard. They appear to be alive, but their ship has very low power." "Perfect," Zalthor said. He felt excited now. A new species, helpless and ready to be studied. "Take us closer. Begin a full scan of their vessel." The Void Seeker moved forward through space. As they got closer, the alien ship became clearer. On their screens, it was definitely damaged. Scorch marks covered its hull. Some of its weapons looked broken. Pieces of metal floated around it like debris. "The ship appears to be disabled, Commander," reported Kethvara. "Their main power source is barely working. Their weapons are offline. They are running on emergency power only." Zalthor smiled, showing his sharp teeth. This was even better than he had hoped. "Begin deep scans. I want to know everything about this ship, their technology, their weapons, their species, everything." Chief Science Officer Velnara looked up from her station. "Commander, should we not try to communicate with them first? It is standard protocol for first contact situations." "No," Zalthor said firmly. "They are helpless. We will learn what we need to know, then decide what to do with them. Begin the scans." Velnara did not argue. She began working at her controls. Invisible beams of energy reached out from the Void Seeker toward the alien ship. The beams would pass through the hull and examine everything inside. Within hours, they would know all the aliens' secrets. Inside the alien ship, Captain Jake Morrison sat in his command chair. He was a tall man with short brown hair and tired eyes. He had been in space for 15 years, fighting battles across the galaxy. Right now, he looked very worried. "Captain," said his communications officer, Sam Clark, "the alien ship is scanning us. Deep penetration scans." "I know," Morrison said quietly. "Let them scan." Lieutenant Commander Beth Kane, his tactical officer, looked confused. "Sir, should we not raise our shields? Try to block their scans?" "No," Morrison said. "Let them see exactly what we want them to see." Morrison pressed a button on his chair. "Chief Torres, are you ready down there?" The voice of Chief Engineer Rick Torres came through the speakers. "Ready as we'll ever be, Captain. All systems are standing by. The aliens think our reactor is damaged, but I can bring us to full power in 30 seconds when you give the word." "Good. Remember, we need to make this look real. Keep feeding them false data about our power levels." "Understood, sir." Morrison looked around his bridge. His crew was small but experienced. They had fought together for 3 years. They trusted each other completely. "Lisa," he said to his navigation officer, Lisa Park, "are you recording everything?" "Yes, sir," Park replied. "Every scan they make of us, we are scanning them right back. We will know as much about their ship as they know about ours. Excellent. Back. On the Zenthari ship, the scans continued. Velnara watched data flow across her screens. The alien ship was strange. Very strange. Commander, she called out. I am seeing some unusual things in these scans. What kind of unusual things? Their hull construction is very different from anything we have seen. They use materials I do not recognize. Their internal layout makes no sense. They have backup systems for their backup systems. Everything is built in layers. Zalthor was interested. What does that mean? I am not sure. It is as if they expect their ship to be heavily damaged in battle, so they built it to keep working even when large parts of it are destroyed. Primitive thinking, Zalthor said. Modern ships use shields to prevent damage. These aliens must be very backward. Velnara continued her scans. She looked at the alien computer systems. They were also strange. Instead of one central computer, the aliens had dozens of smaller computers all connected together. If one was destroyed, the others would keep working. Commander, I am accessing their data storage systems now. Good. What are you finding? Velnara was quiet for a long moment. Then she looked up with a confused expression. Their data systems are very large, Commander. Much larger than they should be for a ship this size. They have stored vast amounts of information. What kind of information? I am still analyzing it, but it appears to be historical records, technical specifications, battle reports. Lots and lots of battle reports. Zalthor felt a small chill run down his spine. Battle reports? How many battles had these aliens fought? Keep scanning, he ordered. I want to know everything about these creatures. On the human ship, Morrison watched his screens carefully. The alien scans were very thorough. They were learning about human technology, human weapons, human defenses. But they were also revealing their own technology to the humans. Captain, said Beth Kane quietly, are you sure about this plan? We are giving them a lot of information about us. Morrison smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. Beth, these aliens think they are the predators, and we are the prey. They think they are studying helpless victims. He looked at the alien ship on his screen. They have no idea what humans are really like. They have no idea what we do to creatures that threaten us. Sir? Just wait, Morrison said. Let them scan. Let them think they understand us. When they learn the truth about humanity, it will be too late for them to do anything about it. The scans continued. In the depths of space, two ships sat watching each other. One thought it was the hunter. The other knew better. The scans had been running for 2 hours now. Commander Zalthor was getting impatient. He wanted answers about these strange aliens. Velnara, what have you learned? He demanded. Chief Science Officer Velnara looked up from her screens. Her face showed confusion and something else. Something that might have been fear. Commander, I have been reading through their historical records. These aliens call themselves humans. They come from a planet called Earth. And? Commander, these humans are not like other species we have encountered. Their history is disturbing. Zalthor moved closer to her station. Explain. Velnara touched her controls. Images appeared on the main screen. They showed a blue and green planet with white clouds. It looked peaceful and beautiful. This is their homeworld, Velnara said. But Commander, the humans have spent most of their history fighting each other. More images appeared. These ones were not peaceful. They showed explosions, burning cities, and vast armies of humans killing other humans. They have fought thousands of wars on their own planet, Velnara continued. Big wars, small wars, wars that lasted for years. I have found records of something they call World War II. In this one war, over 50 million humans died. Zalthor felt another chill. 50 million? That was more than the total population of most worlds the Zenthari had conquered. But that is not the worst part, Commander. There is something worse? Velnara nodded. They did not just fight these wars. They studied them. They learned from them. Every battle, every defeat, every victory. They wrote it all down. They analyzed what went wrong and what went right. Then they used that knowledge to fight better in the next war. The images on the screen changed again. Now they showed human weapons. Swords, guns, tanks, aircraft, missiles. Each weapon was more deadly than the last. Look at how their weapons changed over time, Velnara said. In less than 100 years, they went from simple guns to weapons that could destroy entire cities. They learn very fast, Commander. Zalthor stared at the screen. The weapons were primitive compared to Zenthari technology, but there were so many of them, and the humans had clearly put a lot of thought into how to kill things efficiently. What else have you found? I accessed the personal logs of their crew members, Velnara said. One of them is a scientist named Dr. Amy Foster. She studies alien life forms. Good. What does she say about us? Velnara was quiet for a moment. Commander, she does not know about us specifically, but her research covers 17 other alien species that humans have encountered. 17? Zalthor's voice was sharp. The humans have met 17 alien species? Yes, Commander, and in every case the humans fought them. Did they win? Velnara looked at her screens again. According to these records, yes, they won. Every time. The bridge of the Void Seeker became very quiet. Every Zenthari officer was listening now. Show me, Zalthor ordered. Velnara brought up more files. The first species they met called themselves the Greki. They were raiders who attacked human colonies. The humans studied Greki technology and tactics for 2 years. Then they hunted down every Greki ship in space and destroyed them. Images showed the remains of alien ships floating in space. The second species was called the Thornax. They were traitors, but they tried to cheat the humans. The humans learned the Thornax language, infiltrated their society, and took over their trade routes. The third species tried to enslave human colonies. The humans pretended to be conquered for 6 months while they studied their enemies. Then they turned the slavers' own weapons against them. Zalthor felt sick. Each story was the same. Humans would encounter an alien species. The aliens would think they had the advantage. Then the humans would study them, learn their weaknesses, and destroy them. Commander, Velnara said quietly, the humans do not just defeat their enemies. They take their technology. Every alien weapon, every alien ship design, every alien technique. The humans study it and make it part of their own military. That is impossible. No species can master so many different technologies. The humans can, Commander. Look at their ship. Velnara highlighted different parts of the human vessel on the screen. This hull section uses Greki armor techniques. These weapons are based on Thornax energy systems. Their shields use technology from something called the Valen Consortium. Zalthor stared at the human ship with new eyes. It was not just one ship design. It was pieces of 17 different alien technologies all combined into something new. They are like scavengers, he whispered. No, Commander. Scavengers take what is left behind. The humans take what they want from living enemies. On the human ship, Captain Morrison was reading reports from his crew. They had been monitoring the Zenthari scans carefully. Captain, said Lisa Park, the aliens are reading our historical files. They seem very interested in our military history. Good, Morrison said. Let them read. Education is important. Communications Officer Sam Clark looked confused. Sir, are we not giving them information they could use against us? Morrison laughed. It was not a happy sound. Sam, what they are reading is not intelligence. It is a warning. A warning, sir? Think about it. These aliens are scanning what they think is a helpless human ship. They are reading about how humans have fought and beaten 17 different alien species. What do you think they are feeling right now? Dr. Amy Foster spoke up from her science station. Captain, I have been analyzing their scanning patterns. They are definitely getting nervous. Their scan intensity has increased by 30% in the last hour. They are starting to understand, Morrison said with satisfaction. They came here thinking they found easy prey. Instead, they are learning that humans are the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Back on the Zenthari ship, Velnara continued reading human files. What she found next made her hands shake. Commander, I have found something else. The humans have detailed files on space combat tactics. They have studied every possible way to fight battles in space. Show me. The screen filled with diagrams and charts. They showed fleet formations, attack patterns, and defensive strategies. But these were not simple battle plans. They were complex, multi-layered strategies that took into account dozens of variables. Look at this one, Velnara said. They call it the Wounded Bird Gambit. A human ship pretends to be damaged and helpless. When an enemy comes close to investigate, the human ship springs a trap. Zalthor felt ice form in his stomach. What kind of trap? The damaged ship is actually bait. Hidden nearby are other human ships waiting to attack. The enemy thinks they are capturing one ship, but they are actually being surrounded by an entire fleet. Zalthor looked at the human ship on his screen. It was damaged and helpless. Its weapons were offline. Its power was failing. Or was it? Velnara, he said slowly. Scan the area around us. Look for other ships. Commander, I already did. There is nothing out there. Scan again. Use maximum power. Velnara worked at her controls. The scanners reached out into space, looking for any sign of other vessels. Still, nothing, Commander. But Zalthor was not convinced. He had read too much about human tactics now. He knew that humans were clever. They were patient. They were willing to wait a long time to spring their traps. Keep scanning, he ordered, and prepare our weapons. Commander, should we not withdraw? These humans sound very dangerous. Zalthor considered this. Part of him wanted to run, but another part of him was curious. The Zenthari Empire needed to know about these humans. If they were as dangerous as their records suggested, the Empire needed to prepare. No, he decided. We will continue our scans, but we will be ready for anything. On the human ship, Morrison smiled as he watched the Zenthari ship's weapons come online. They are starting to figure it out, he said to his crew. But it is too late now. They have already learned too much about us to just fly away. What do you mean, sir? Asked Beth Kane. Morrison looked at the alien ship. Beth, they have read our files. They know what humans do to species that threaten us. Do you think they can just go home and pretend they never met us? Kane's eyes widened as she understood. They have to either kill us or warn their empire about us. Exactly. And either choice means we learn everything we need to know about them. Morrison pressed a button. All stations, this is the captain. We are about to find out what our new alien friends are really made of. In the engine room of the human ship, Chief Engineer Rick Torres watched his screens with calm eyes. The Zenthari had been scanning the Defiant for 3 hours now. They thought they knew everything about the human ship. They were wrong. Torres pressed a button on his control panel. Captain Morrison, this is engineering. The aliens are still buying our little show. Their scans show exactly what we want them to see. Good work, Chief, came Morrison's voice through the speakers. How much longer can you keep this up? As long as you need, sir. Our real power systems are completely hidden. To them, we look like we are barely alive. Torres looked at his screens with pride. The human ship was not damaged at all. Every scorch mark on the hull had been carefully placed. Every broken weapon was actually a hidden sensor. Every system that appeared offline was actually running, at full power, just hidden behind layers of false readings. The humans had learned this trick from the Valen Consortium, an alien species they had fought 5 years ago. The Valen were masters of deception in space combat. After the humans defeated them, they studied every Valen trick and made them better. Chief, Morrison's voice came again. Begin Phase 2. I want to know everything about their ship. Understood, sir. Torres began typing commands into his computer. While the aliens scanned the human ship, the humans were secretly scanning right back. But their scans were much more clever. The human scanners used the same frequencies as the Zenthari scans. To the aliens, it would look like echo signals from their own scanners. They would never know that the humans were examining every part of their ship. On the bridge, Captain Morrison watched data flow across his screens. His crew was getting a complete picture of the alien vessel. Captain, said Lieutenant Commander Beth Kane, I have analyzed their weapon systems. Their technology is about 50 years ahead of our standard equipment. But, Morrison asked, He could hear something in her voice. But sir, we have fought aliens with similar technology before. The Korath Empire had weapons just like these. We know exactly how to counter them. Morrison nodded. This was how humans fought. They never went into battle blind. Every enemy they had ever faced had taught them something new. Every alien technology they encountered became part of their knowledge. What about their defenses? Morrison asked. Kane checked her screens. Their shields are strong, but they use a rotating frequency pattern. It is the same pattern the Zalani used. We cracked that code 2 years ago. Excellent. Sam, are you picking up their communications? Communications Officer Sam Clark looked up from his station. Yes, sir. They are not using any encryption. I think they believe we are too primitive to understand their language. Can you understand it? Working on it, sir. Our computers are analyzing their speech patterns. We should have a basic translation program ready in about an hour. Morrison smiled. The aliens had made a critical mistake. They assumed that humans were like other primitive species they had encountered. They thought humans would be easy to understand and easy to defeat. They did not realize that humans had been preparing for this meeting for months. On the Zenthari ship, Commander Zalthor was growing more nervous by the minute. The human files he had read were deeply disturbing. These creatures were not like any species the Zenthari had ever met. Velnara, he called to his science officer. Have you found anything else in their data? Yes, Commander. I have been reading their tactical manuals. The humans have detailed plans for fighting every type of space battle. What kind of plans? Velnara brought up a file on the main screen. This one is called First Contact Protocols. It describes exactly what humans should do when they meet a new alien species. Zalthor read the file. What he saw made his blood run cold. The humans had 3 options when meeting aliens. Option 1 was peaceful contact and trade. Option 2 was defensive action if the aliens were hostile. Option 3 was something called aggressive information gathering. What does aggressive information gathering mean? Zalthor asked. Velnara was quiet for a moment. According to this file, if aliens are scanning human ships without permission, the humans consider it an act of war. But that is exactly what we are doing. Yes, Commander. Zalthor felt panic rising in his chest. What does the file say humans should do in this situation? Velnara read from the screen. Quote, when hostile aliens scan our vessels, we will allow the scan to continue while secretly gathering intelligence on the alien ship. We will then use this intelligence to determine the best way to neutralize the threat. End quote. The Igi Char bridge of the Zenthari ship became very quiet. Every officer was thinking the same thing. If the humans followed their own protocols, then they were already scanning the Void Seeker right now. Keth Vara, Zalthor said to his sensor officer, are you detecting any scans of our ship? No, Commander, I see nothing. But Zalthor was not convinced. He had read too much about human tactics. They were clever, they were patient, and they were very good at hiding what they were really doing. Run a full diagnostic on our scanning equipment, he ordered. I want to make sure we are not missing anything. While Kethavara worked, Velnara continued reading human files. What she found next made her gasp. Commander, I have found communications records. The humans have been in contact with their fleet command. What? When? 3 days ago. Before we found them. They sent a message to someone called Admiral Chris Murphy on Earth. Velnara brought up the message on screen. Zalthor read it with growing horror. Patrol Ship Defiant beginning reconnaissance mission in Sector 7G. Expect contact with Zenthari forces within 72 hours. Will implement Wounded Bird protocol if contact is made. Awaiting further orders. Zalthor stared at the message. The humans had known the Zenthari were coming. They had been waiting for them. Velnara, when was this message sent? 71 hours ago, Commander. Zalthor felt dizzy. The humans had not stumbled into this sector by accident. They had come here specifically to meet the Zenthari, the damaged ship, the helpless crew, the easy target. It was all planned. Commander, Kethavara called out. I have completed the diagnostic on our scanners. What did you find? Sir, our equipment is working perfectly. But I have found something strange. There are echo signals in our scanner beams, very faint ones. What kind of echo signals? They match the frequency of our own scanners exactly. It is as if our beams are bouncing off something and coming back to us. Zalthor felt ice form in his veins. Or as if someone else is using our own scanner frequencies to scan us. The truth hit him like a physical blow. The humans were not helpless victims. They were predators. And the Zenthari had walked right into their trap. All stations, red alert, Zalthor shouted. Raise shields, charge weapons, prepare for combat. Alarms began sounding throughout the Zenthari ship, but Zalthor knew it might already be too late. On the human ship, Captain Morrison watched the alien vessel's weapons come online. They figured it out, he said calmly. Chief Torres, bring us to full power. All hands, battle stations. The Defiant began to change. What had looked like a damaged, helpless ship suddenly came alive. Hidden weapon ports opened. Concealed armor plates slid into position. The reactor that had seemed nearly dead now roared to full power. Sir, said Beth Kane, all weapons are online. Shields are at maximum. We are ready for combat. Good. Sam, are you ready with that translation program? Yes, sir. I can understand about 60% of their language now. Excellent. Open a channel to their ship. Channel open, sir. Morrison stood up from his command chair. When he spoke, his voice was calm and friendly. Attention, Zenthari vessel. This is Captain Jake Morrison of the human ship Defiant. Thank you for the very thorough scan of our ship. We learned a great deal about your technology. On the Zenthari ship, Zalthor heard the human's words through his speakers. The translation was rough, but he understood enough. You speak our language? We are fast learners, Morrison replied. We also want to thank you for making this so easy. You told us everything we needed to know about your ship, your weapons, and your empire. How long have you been scanning us? Morrison laughed. Commander Zalthor, we have been scanning you since the moment you entered this sector. We know the names of every officer on your bridge. We know how many ships are in your fleet. We know the location of your home world. Zalthor felt his heart stop beating. That is impossible. Commander, you have spent the last 3 hours learning about humans. You know what we do to species that threaten us. The question now is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? The communication ended. Zalthor stared at the human ship on his screen. It no longer looked damaged or helpless. It looked like exactly what it was. A warship crewed by the most dangerous predators in the galaxy, and they had been hunting him all along. Commander Zalthor stared at the human ship in shock. The vessel that had looked broken and helpless just moments ago now blazed with power. Every weapon system was online. The hull that had seemed damaged was actually covered in advanced armor plating. Commander, his weapons officer called out. The human ship has locked targeting systems on us. Return the favor, Zalthor ordered. Lock all weapons on their ship. But even as he gave the order, Zalthor felt something was wrong. The space around them felt different. Empty space should not feel threatening, but somehow it did. Kethvara, run another sensor sweep. Look for anything unusual. His sensor officer worked at her controls. After a moment, she looked up with wide eyes. Commander, I am detecting new contacts. Multiple ships are decloaking around us. The main screen flickered and changed. What had been empty space was now filled with human warships. They appeared one by one as their stealth systems shut down. First 2 ships, then 4, then 8. How many? Zalthor whispered. 12 ships total, Commander. We are completely surrounded. Zalthor felt his legs go weak. 12 human warships. Where had they come from? How long had they been hiding out there? This is Commander Alex Thompson. Of the human ship Retribution, came a new voice over the communication system. Zenthari vessel, you are surrounded. Power down your weapons immediately. This is Captain Nina Rodriguez of the Vigilant, came another voice. We have you locked in a crossfire pattern. Any hostile action will result in your destruction. Zalthor looked around his bridge. His crew was terrified. They had gone from being the hunters to being the hunted in just a few minutes. Commander, his tactical officer said quietly. Their ships are more advanced than anything in our files. These are not the primitive vessels we expected. Zalthor studied the human fleet on his screen. Each ship was different from the others, but all of them looked deadly. Some were long and sleek like knives. Others were broad and heavily armored. All of them had weapons pointed at the Void Seeker. How did they hide from our sensors, he asked. Unknown, Commander. Their stealth technology is far beyond anything we have seen. Captain Morrison's voice came through the speakers again. Commander Zalthor, you have a choice to make. You can surrender and be allowed to return to your empire with a message, or you can fight and be destroyed here. Zalthor felt anger rising in his chest. The Zenthari Empire did not surrender to anyone. They were the strongest military force in the galaxy. They had conquered dozens of worlds. Human, he said into his communicator. You are making a mistake. We are not some primitive species you can bully. We are the Zenthari Empire. We have defeated every enemy we have ever faced. Morrison's response was calm and patient. Commander, I have read your files too. Yes, you have defeated 47 different species, but those species were weak. They had no real military experience. They did not know how to fight. And you think humans are different? Commander, humans have been fighting wars for 5,000 years. We have fought on our home planet, in space, on alien worlds. We have fought every kind of enemy you can imagine, and we have learned from every single battle. The communication channel fell silent for a moment. Then Morrison continued. The species you conquered were farmers and traders and scientists. They had never seen real war. But humans, war is what we do best. Zalthor felt cold fear creeping up his spine, but he was still a Zenthari commander. He had his pride. All ships, attack pattern Delta, he ordered. Fire everything we have. The Void Seeker opened fire on the nearest human ship. Energy beams and missiles streaked through space. The Zenthari weapons were powerful and accurate, but the human ships were ready. The first human vessel, the Retribution, rolled to avoid the incoming fire. Its movements were smooth and precise, like a dancer avoiding clumsy attacks. The Zenthari weapons missed completely. Impossible, breathed Zalthor's weapons officer. Our targeting computers are perfect. Nothing should be able to dodge that fast. Fire again, Zalthor shouted. More weapons fire erupted from the Zenthari ship. This time they targeted multiple human vessels at once. The human ship scattered like a school of fish avoiding a predator. But they did not run away. Instead, they moved into attack positions around the Void Seeker. They are using Korath battle tactics, observed the tactical officer. How do they know Korath tactics? Zalthor remembered what he had read in the human files. They had fought and defeated the Korath Empire. They had studied every Korath strategy and made it their own. The human ships began their counterattack. Their weapons were different from anything the Zenthari had seen. Some fired energy beams that seemed to bend around obstacles. Others launched missiles that split into multiple warheads mid-flight. Shields holding, reported the defense officer. But their weapons are designed specifically to counter our shield frequencies. How is that possible? Unknown, sir. It is as if they have fought ships exactly like ours before. Captain Morrison's voice came through the speakers again. Commander, you should know that we have detailed files on Zenthari technology. We received them from the Korath Empire before we destroyed them. They were very eager to share information about their enemies. Zalthor felt sick. The humans had not just defeated the Korath, they had turned them against their former allies. Your shields will fail in approximately 4 minutes, Morrison continued. I suggest you use that time to make a better decision. But Zalthor was not ready to give up. All ships ramming speed. If we are going to die, we will take them with us. The Void Seeker turned toward the nearest human ship and accelerated. If they could not win with weapons, they would win with sacrifice. But the human ships did something unexpected. Instead of scattering to avoid the ramming attack, they moved closer together. What are they doing? Asked the tactical officer. The answer came quickly. The human ships linked their shield systems together, creating a barrier of energy in front of the charging Zenthari vessel. The Void Seekers slammed into the combined shields at full speed. The impact was tremendous. The Xanthari ship bounced off the human shields like a ball hitting a wall. Systems failed throughout the ship. Half the crew was thrown to the floor. Damage report, Zalthor called out weakly. Engines offline. Weapons at 30%. Life support failing. The human fleet had not been damaged at all. Commander, came Morrison's voice. You just witnessed something that no other species has ever seen. Humans protecting each other. Zalthor struggled to understand. What do you mean? Every other species you have conquered fights as individuals. When things get dangerous, they think about saving themselves. But humans are different. We fight as one unit. We protect each other even when it costs us. On the bridge of the Defiant, Morrison watched the damaged Xanthari ship with satisfaction. His plan had worked perfectly. Captain, said Beth Kane. Shall we finish them? Morrison considered this. No. We have what we came for. Sir? Beth, we now know everything about Xanthari technology, tactics, and military strength. We know the location of their homeworld and the size of their fleet. That information is worth more than one destroyed ship. Morrison opened a communication channel to the alien vessel. Commander Zalthor, your ship is disabled, but your crew is alive. I am going to make you an offer. What kind of offer? You will be allowed to repair your ship and return to your empire. You will tell them exactly what happened here. You will warn them that human space is not to be entered by Xanthari forces. Zalthor was confused. Why would you let us go? Morrison smiled, though the alien could not see it. Because, Commander, you are now going to do something very important for us. You are going to teach your empire to fear humans. I do not understand. When you return home, you will tell your leaders about this encounter. You will show them recordings of human ships appearing from nowhere. You will explain how we turned your own weapons against you. You will describe how humans protect each other in battle. Morrison paused for a moment. And then when your empire is trying to decide whether to attack humanity or leave us alone, they will remember your story. They will remember that humans are not like other species they have conquered. On the Xanthari ship, Zalthor realized what the human was doing. Morrison was not just letting him go. He was turning him into a weapon. A weapon of fear that would be aimed at the heart of the Xanthari Empire. You want me to frighten my own people? Zalthor said. Commander, I want you to tell them the truth. Humans are the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. We have been fighting and winning wars for thousands of years. Any species that threatens us will be studied, hunted, and destroyed. Morrison's voice became cold and hard. Your empire has two choices. Stay away from human space and live in peace, or come looking for a fight and discover why 17 other alien species are now extinct. The communication ended. Around the damaged Xanthari ship, the human fleet began to disappear again, their stealth systems hiding them from view. Within minutes, only the Defiant remained visible, but Zalthor knew the other ships were still out there, watching and waiting. His crew worked to repair their vessel while he sat in his command chair, thinking about the message he would have to deliver to his empire. The humans had won without really fighting. They had turned a simple encounter into a strategic victory. And 3 days later, the Xanthari ship Voidseeker limped into the outer system of the Xanthari homeworld. Commander Zalthor sat in his damaged command chair, dreading what he had to do next. His ship looked like it had been through a war. Scorch marks covered the hull. Several weapon systems were completely destroyed. The engines barely worked. Any Xanthari who saw the ship would know that something terrible had happened. Commander, called his communications officer. Central Command is requesting immediate contact. Zalthor closed his eyes for a moment. Put them through. The face of Admiral Zekthul appeared on the main screen. He was one of the most powerful military leaders in the Xanthari Empire. His expression was stern and demanding. Commander Zalthor, what happened to your ship? Your mission was simple reconnaissance. Why do you look like you have been in a battle? Admiral, I need to speak with the High Council immediately. What I have to report cannot wait. Tell me first, Commander. What did you encounter out there? Zalthor looked around his bridge at his crew. They all had the same haunted expression. They had seen something that changed the way they thought about the universe. We found them, Admiral. We found the species that has been destroying our enemies. What species? What are you talking about? They call themselves humans, Admiral. And they are unlike anything we have ever encountered. 6 hours later, Zalthor stood in the Great Council Chamber of the Zenthari Empire. The High Council consisted of 12 of the most powerful Zenthari in the galaxy. They ruled over 200 star systems and billions of citizens. Around the chamber sat military leaders, scientists and government officials. All of them had come to hear Zalthor's report. High Counselor Vexmar, the supreme leader of the Empire, looked down at Zalthor from her raised platform. Commander, you claim to have encountered a new species, one that poses a threat to our Empire. Explain. Zalthor took a deep breath. Honored counselors, 3 days ago my ship discovered a human vessel in Sector 7G. The ship appeared to be damaged and helpless. We began standard scanning procedures. And the humans allowed us to scan them while they secretly scanned us in return. Everything we thought we knew about their ship was a lie. They were not helpless, they were hunting us. Murmurs went around the chamber. Several counselors looked skeptical. Commander, said military advisor Kroldan, are you suggesting that this unknown species was able to deceive our most advanced scanning equipment? Yes, sir, but that is not the worst part. Zalthor activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. Images from the human ship's database appeared in the air. The humans have detailed records of their military history. They have been fighting wars for over 5,000 years. They have encountered and defeated 17 different alien species. The images showed human weapons, battle plans, and records of alien defeats. Look at these files, Zalthor continued. The humans do not just fight their enemies, they study them. They learn from them. They take alien technology and make it better. High Counselor Vexmar leaned forward in her chair. You are saying they have fought 17 species and won? Every time? Yes, Counselor, including the Korath Empire. A shocked silence fell over the chamber. The Korath had been one of the most powerful military forces in the galaxy. The Zenthari had avoided fighting them for decades. The Korath Empire had over 300 warships, said Admiral Zekthul. How could one species defeat them? Zalthor brought up more images. These showed the remains of Korath ships floating in space. According to human records, they studied Korath tactics for 2 years. Then they infiltrated the Korath fleet and turned their own weapons against them. The war lasted 6 months. At the end, every Korath ship was destroyed or captured. Impossible, whispered scientific advisor Telvara. The humans now use Korath technology in their own ships, Zalthor continued. They also use Greki armor, Thornax energy systems, and Valen stealth technology. Every species they defeat becomes part of their military knowledge. Chief Military Strategist Borkan stood up from his seat. Commander, you are describing a species that cannot exist. No one can master so many different technologies. With respect, sir, the humans can. And they proved it. Zalthor activated another display. This one showed the moment when the human fleet had decloaked around his ship. 12 human warships were hiding in empty space. Our sensors detected nothing until they chose to reveal themselves. Their stealth technology is far beyond anything we have. The counselors watched in stunned silence as the recording showed. Human ships moving with impossible speed and precision. They surrounded us completely, Zalthor explained. When we tried to fight, they countered every tactic we used. It was as if they had fought Zenthari ships before. Had they? Asked Vexmar. No, Counselor, but they had detailed information about our technology. Information they received from the Korath Empire before they destroyed it. The implications of this statement hit the chamber like a physical blow. The humans had not just defeated the Korath. They had turned them into spies against their former allies. Commander, said Vexmar slowly, what happened to your ship? The humans disabled us without destroying us, Counselor. They could have killed us all, but they chose not to. Why? Zalthor felt ashamed as he answered. Because they wanted me to return home and deliver a message to you. What message? That human space is not to be entered by Xanthari forces. That any species which threatens humans will be studied, hunted, and destroyed. The chamber erupted in angry voices. Several military officers shouted about Xanthari honor and the need to respond to threats, but High Counselor Vexmar raised her hand for silence. Commander, in your opinion, could we defeat these humans in battle? Zalthor thought about this question carefully. He remembered the human ships appearing from nowhere. He remembered their weapons designed specifically to counter Xanthari technology. He remembered their perfect coordination in battle. No, Counselor, I do not believe we could. Why not? Because the humans have been preparing for this fight for months. They knew we were coming. They studied our empire, our technology, our tactics. By the time we encountered them, they already knew how to defeat us. Zalthor paused, then continued. Counselors, the humans are not like other species we have conquered. Those species were peaceful. They had no real military experience, but humans have been fighting wars since before they left their home planet. War is not just something they do, it is who they are. The chamber fell silent as the counselors absorbed this information. What do you recommend? Asked Vexmar. Zalthor took a deep breath. I recommend that we avoid human space completely. We should establish a buffer zone between our territories and theirs, and we should hope that they are content to leave us. Alone? That sounds like cowardice, growled Admiral Zekthul. No, sir. It sounds like wisdom. Far away on the planet Earth, Fleet Admiral Tony Harris sat in his office reading reports from the encounter. Captain Morrison had done excellent work. The intelligence gathered from the Xanthari ship would be valuable for years to come. Admiral, said his aide, Colonel Ray Peterson. Captain Morrison's report indicates that the aliens will likely avoid our space from now on. Good, Harris replied. But we cannot assume they will stay away forever. Begin preparing defensive positions along our border with Xanthari space. Yes, sir. What about the intelligence we gathered on their technology? Harris smiled. Send it to Dr. Kate Williams and her research team. I want countermeasures for every Xanthari weapon system within 6 months. And if the Xanthari decide to attack us anyway? Harris looked out his office window at the fleet yards where human warships were being built. Each ship incorporated technology from dozens of defeated alien species. Each crew was trained in tactics learned from 100 different battles. Colonel, if the Xanthari want a war, they will get one. But it will not be the war they expect. In space, Captain Morrison and his crew were already preparing for their next mission. The Defiant had been refitted with new weapons based on Xanthari technology. Within a week, they would be hunting new alien threats. Captain, said Dr. Amy Foster from her science station, I have finished analyzing the Xanthari biological samples we collected during the encounter. What did you find? They are surprisingly fragile, sir. Their life support requirements are very specific. If we ever have to fight them, we know exactly how to make their ships uninhabitable. Morrison nodded. This was how humans fought. They learned everything about their enemies, then used that knowledge to destroy them efficiently. Good work, Doctor. Add that information to our xenobiology database. Across human space, the message was spreading. Admiral Grace Turner was mobilizing the Third Fleet. Captain Nina Rodriguez was leading advanced reconnaissance missions. Colonel Mike Johnson was training new Marines in anti-alien combat techniques. Humanity was preparing for the next war. They always were, because in a galaxy full of predators, humans had learned a simple truth. The best way to survive was to be the most dangerous predator of all. The Xanthari Empire would remember Commander Zalthor's report for generations. They would tell stories about the humans who appeared from nowhere and vanished like ghosts. They would warn their children about the species that turned enemies into weapons and defeat into victory.